So yesterday I did my last session in counseling, and it was a bittersweet moment, I guess you could say. The bitter part was just I was sad to say goodbye to my counselor because my counselor was amazing and they helped me so much. And they gave me not only tools to help me, but use something that they are licensed to do to help with the fact that I went through so much trauma. And even then, it's like they knew I'm not fully healed, but I'm in the right direction because that's the sweet part is recognizing that I'm doing okay. I'm good enough that even if I relapse, in a sense, I know how to cope with it. I know how to get through it. I know what to do to help me in those situations. And that's what my counselor says that it's going to happen, where a lot of the emotions that I went through and all those memories that I went through are going to resurface, and it's okay. It's okay to express those emotions because that just shows that something's not right. And that's something that counseling helps with. Those of us that go through so much trauma or have some form of mental health issues, we need that counseling to help us know how to cope with what we're going through. It's not a 100% healing process, but it is the 100% stepping stone, I guess you could say, towards that healing process. Because, like I've said in previous videos, it's not going to go away. It's going to be with us for the rest of our lives. Unlike physical stuff, it does not go away. Physical goes away whether it's the next day, the next month, the next year, or years down the road, but it still goes away. Whereas the mental, it's there for the rest of our lives. We can't get rid of that, no matter how hard we try. But we can, with counseling, find ways to be able to cope and to handle those stress and those issues. I know that for myself. The thing is, though, is that those of us that go through mental health problems, we have to come to that conclusion that we need counseling. We can't, it's not okay, it's not okay in our heads if someone else says we have to go to counseling. The reason I said that is just from my experience. I had someone that's close to me for years kept pestering me to go back to counseling, because I've been in counseling a total of 5 times. I've been 4 times as a teenager, or in my teen years, and then this one recently as an adult, and it's the only one as an adult. But I might have to go back again. It's not a permanent thing, but it is a step in the right direction. But going back to what I was saying, if for someone that has been told this, it pushed me back. It pushed me up, no, I don't need it, and fight it. But what brought me to realize this, I made that decision because I recognized that something was not right and I needed the help. And that's something that when it comes to counseling is not a shameful thing. It is it is not far from that. But when people pester us with it or push us for it or anything like that, it makes us feel shameful. It makes us feel like that we're weak. That we're not. I can't think of what the word is that I'm looking for, but that's what we feel like. But when we come to the conclusion, for us, it's not a sign of weakness. For us, it's a sign of a strength that we recognized our weaknesses and recognized that we can't do this alone. We need help. I know for those of us that are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we do have the gospel and we do have that knowledge that we are not alone, but it does take more than just that. And that's one thing I love, the fact that the church has brought just part of everything is that there is help out there. There is the family services that help us get the counseling that we need, as those of us that have mental health, because he recognizes that we need that extra help. We need that little bit extra leverage, I guess you could say, to help us become better, and to be able to cope with what we go through. And that's something everyone needs to understand too, is counseling is not a bad thing, but we have to come to the conclusion ourselves that we need it. We can't take someone else's word for it. Going back to my experience, so the 4 times that I went, again, I was a teenager. I didn't get to choose, and I didn't get to say I need to go to counseling. It was not a choice I made. It was someone else chose it for me, and I'm not saying I regret going to counseling, because during that time it actually helped me a lot. But I wished that I knew a little bit more so I can make that choice myself. And maybe because I'm a minor, it was fine, but at the same time, I was old enough to recognize that something was not right. And actually, the counseling this time helped me realize that the mental abuse I was going through actually was going on for a long, long time, but I only started recognizing it as a teenager, because it became a little more obvious that what was going on. And counseling helped me a lot, especially this time around. My counselor has said to me, I'm paraphrasing words here, but my counselor has told me that, it's not going to be a permanent fix. These things take time. These memories will not go away, which means the emotions are not going to go away, and that is okay. And it's okay to express these emotions, because if we don't express it, then it just builds up to the point that it overflows and we act out rationally. And I've seen that for myself so many times that I'm done holding my emotions in. I'm ready to let my emotions out. And if people around me don't like that, then that's their choice. My choice is to finally be able to let go, and counseling has helped me build that confidence that I needed to know that it is okay to show the emotions. In fact, my counselor even said that those emotions, especially like anger, frustration, sadness, wanting the feeling that wanting to yell and scream and shout is okay, because that means that my brain recognizes that something is wrong. And of course there are correct ways to express those emotions, and what I mean is like not throwing things around. I've done that before as a teenager, but it is okay to express what I'm feeling. It is okay to say I'm frustrated. It is okay to say I'm angry. It's okay to scream and yell and cry, because I'm human, and I'm supposed to feel these things when something's not right. If I wasn't supposed to feel these things, Heavenly Father wouldn't have given them to me. And I believe, and after talking to my counselor about that, I believe that that is right. And I may say sorry, but it's not because I'm sorry of showing emotions. It's because sorry if they can't understand why my emotions are the way they are, or that they can't, that they just can't understand what I'm saying. But I am grateful for the counseling session, especially this time around, because I'm no longer the person I was. I mean, I'm still going to have the mental health for the rest of my life. I'm going to be focusing on that for the rest of my life. But now, thanks to counseling, I have tools that will help me be able to get through it. It will be able to help me, understand where all these triggers come from, where all these emotions come from, where the base of it, in a sense, is coming from. Because some of the times, all the feelings that I've been feeling, or the thoughts that I've had, are triggered by something that I've gone through. And it's okay. I have my tools thanks to my counseling sessions. I was able to, recall a lot of memory and figuring out where everything came from. Like, for example, I always get anxious when I don't know what's going on, and that's because I didn't know what was going on with one side of the family. I was always left in the dark, and I would always find out, like, either the last minute or after the fact of something very important happening, and I hated it. And so I get so anxious when I'm not told about what's going on, because I have that. And that's not going to go away. And unfortunately, the people that should tell me these things, they're not going to tell me unless I ask. But I, on my part, can at least ask, and even just set boundaries. And my counselor even said that boundaries are okay, because that's a way to not only protect myself, especially with the mental health that issues that I got going on, but it also helps everyone to know that there are things that are okay and there's things that are not okay. And if they expect me to be this happy, bubbly person that I always seem to be on the outside, they need to respect these boundaries so that I can continue to be that way. But at the same time, let me be able to express the negative when I'm feeling it. And that's what counseling has taught me. So if you're going through something, so my message about today is just counseling. Don't be ashamed if you feel like you have to seek help. And the reason I say that is because, for those that have loved ones that are struggling mentally, they have the mental health issues, don't tell them to go to counseling. I mean, you're welcome to suggest it, but don't tell them to go to counseling, because those of us, and I'm speaking from experience, those of us that get told to go to counseling, we fight it, because to us it feels like we can't be our own selves, that our loved ones are ashamed of us because we're not these perfect beings, even though no one's perfect, and or that something's wrong with us, when in reality there's nothing wrong with us other than the fact that we went through something traumatic that's causing these mental health issues. Those of us that are struggling, we have to come to the conclusion ourselves that we need help, and if we want help of figuring out where to get help, we'll ask. We'll ask those that we trust where would be a good place to look to get help. We're not gonna not ask once we come to that conclusions, but we have to come to those conclusions ourselves, and that's what everyone needs to understand too. Counseling is not a shameful thing. It is something that can help anybody, no matter what whatever you're going through. But we have to come to the conclusion ourselves that we need that additional help. Yes, we are human beings, and we can be strong and we can get through things on our own. But sometimes we just need that little extra help to get to where we want to be, or at least to get on the path that we should be on. And counseling is the perfect example of finding the light of hope in a room of darkness. That's actually where I got that phrase from, because of an experience I had during one of the sessions. And I'm grateful to that. And I'm grateful for all the tools I have. And one of the tools is, one thing that was given advice is not comparing myself to other people or what's on social media. And so I'm going to make that as a goal not to do that. But I'm not going to, but sharing my story is a whole different thing. I don't want people to compare themselves to me. I just hope that if they find these videos, that they will find that comfort that they're not alone, that someone else has gone through what they went through, and it's okay, and they're not alone. And there is light, and there is light in the darkness. There is that light of hope in the room of darkness. We all just have to find it, and sometimes we need help with it. So that's my message for today is, if you're struggling mentally, you do need to figure out for yourself, but don't be afraid to go seek help. Because, especially from a professional, because yes, they're getting paid to do that, but at the same time, that's why they got the degree, is to be able to help people like us get through this. And for those that have loved ones that are struggling, be supportive. Don't force them to go to counseling or seeking help. Let them come to you and let them make that decision, because that's the only way that's going to be able to help them. So yeah, that's my message. And remember, like I said multiple times, find that light of hope in your room of darkness. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.